Hey there, my friends. Brian King here. Yes, I'm working on a Sunday, and I love every minute of it. I was talking to a client this morning, and one of the things that came up is how often the response, I don't know, comes up whenever you ask your child a question. And one of the more common ways this shows up, especially during the school year, is when your child comes through the door at the end of the day and you ask, hey, how was your day? And you hear the one-word responses. Fine, okay, same, boring, whatever it is. And you say, oh, well, tell me about your day. Well, I don't remember. Or, I forget. And this seems to baffle us, as parents. Like, man, you were just there. You mean you spent 8 hours in a place and you don't remember anything that happened there? And it feels like a dodge. And you know what? It very well could be. It could be a child that's just tired, doesn't want to deal with it, just wants to go do something mindless like play their video games for a while, watch a TV show, scroll through Facebook, something to give their brains a break, and they don't want to have a conversation just yet. That's one option. And if that's the case, you can check in with your child later and you'll probably get a better answer. But if I don't know is something that seems far more pervasive, where no matter what they're doing, you ask them a question. Why didn't you clean your room? I don't know. Why didn't you do your homework? I don't know. Here's what, in my experience, is most often than not happening. Let's review working memory. I talk about this a lot because it's such a common issue with people with ADHD. Working memory is that ability in your brain to, when a problem presents itself, your brain is able to retrieve the information that it has from previous experiences. Like, let's say you've got to change the batteries in something. Well, you remember the last time you had to change batteries in something, this thing in particular. So now your brain needs to retrieve that past information and hold on to it long enough to use it. And some kids can do that easier than others. But the more compromised your working memory is, the harder it is to hold on to that information, the harder it is going to be to complete a task that is asked of them. Kids that have a hard time remembering the multi-step process of cleaning their room, it may feel like you're asking them to do it for the first time every time. And in the absence of a written system for what step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on is, in the absence of that, your kid may be puzzled to where to even begin. So when you ask, why didn't you clean your room? I don't know. Well, that might be code for I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know what the process was, so I just didn't do it. So that's also a kid that needs to work on their self-advocacy. When it comes to the after-school scenario, tell me about your day, honey, or how was your day? This is where working memory flubs that up. When you consider that working memory for people with ADHD has a very small carrying capacity, it's not as big as it might be for somebody who doesn't have those challenges. So when someone asks you, how was your day? Think about how much information now needs to be able to be held in working memory, where after being asked, how was your day? Now they need to think about their entire day, everything that happened, and then through deductive reasoning, eliminate things that aren't quite that important so they can decide what to share with you. Good luck getting an ADHD brain to do that efficiently. It's too big a target. You're using too many executive functions to sort, sift, prioritize, and finally give you an answer. So you need to help the person you're talking to, in this case your child, you need to help them cut through all that. The way you do it is by asking a laser-focused question. And one of the best ones I've learned is to ask, hey, tell me something new you learned today. Man, how much smaller a list of things that occurred in their day are now captured in a single question? How much working memory space are they going to have to commit to finding the information to answer that question? Very little. It's not going to be exhausting. So it's the question you're asking, and it's what it requires of their brain to not only retrieve the information, process the information, and use it to answer your question. The more specific you can be, the more laser focused you can be, the easier it is to answer that question. So that is my recommendation to you. I want you to try it out. It can be about anything. They've been out all day playing with their friends. Tell me one fun thing you did when you were out. Because otherwise, you might just ask them, what'd you and your friends do? We just hung out. Nothing. And you find out later they did something that was exciting. You say, man, why didn't you tell me about that? Well, you asked too big a question. And my mind had a hard time sorting and sifting and arriving at that really fun thing that we did, that if your question were more specific, I probably would have thought about it. But it's not all on you. Your child also needs to learn that he or she requires specific questions in order to best retrieve and use the strengths and challenges of their brain correctly. So something I've learned to do, if somebody asks me a big open-ended question, I just reply, would you mind being more specific? And then I will ask them that question until they give me a question I can answer. And then everybody wins. So teach this little rule to your kids so they learn that this is an issue with the way their brain works. It just works differently. It doesn't work less. It isn't defective. It just has very precise needs. And understanding them, honoring them, and advocating for them can improve life and relationships dramatically. So that's what I wanted to share. Hopefully it's helpful. If there's anybody else that you believe can benefit from this, please share it with them. And until next time, this has been Brian. Thanks for being you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.